What do we need to learn? Where do we need to change? What progress do we need to make? How do we see ourselves at the end of there? So it's basically a day of reflection, taking lessons and forging a way forward in a manner that envisages, but also seeks to enroll everybody and make sure they are identified.
All right. And that now reminds me of when the national IDs were rolled out 10 years back. There was so much resistance from people. They want to take our information, they want to take our data, and maybe they didn't trust the privacy, data protection and all that. So how far have we gone currently? Maybe if you can start with how many Ugandans are registered for national IDs, and then what is the response from the masses out there, from the public?
Yes.
Because I'm also aware now we are also in 2 schools for young age for them to get NIN numbers.
Yes. When we went out into the project, there were over 15 million people whose national IDs had been issued in 2014-15 and which had expired. And so by the beginning of 27th May, we thought to renew these. There was also 17 million Ugandans that we sought to register, and of course this inference number was drawn from the UBOS statistics of the population that we have of the citizens of this country, and so that's a number we are also trying to cover. So 17 million people out there had not been covered of the whole population, and that's a number that we are trying so much to cover during this mass enrollment. And so if you're watching us right now today, I think that this is a wake-up call. If you have not enrolled, please make the choice to enroll. There is everything in it for you than there is against you in this enrollment. And like you rightly also intimated, when we started, there were issues of resistance, issues of trust, issues of, is this a thing we need to do? But just to comfort our viewers, NERA, like any other organization, is bound by the Data Protection Act, and whereby we say that every entity, not NERA alone, every organization that collects data about a person must be subscribed to the Data Protection Office, because they know something about you. So they must subscribe and guarantee that they will protect this information of yours. And so the good news is that we are governed by the Data Protection Act, and we are fully subscribed members. So this is to comfort them. So there is nothing like anything like, say, anybody needs to be worried. I think that they need to be comforted and embrace this service more than ever before. Government through NERA will protect their data. The end most goal is to ease access to service, give them a legal identity, and make their access to life service and enjoyment of their citizenship of this country a beautiful experience.
All right. Yeah. So when I understand this is an international day, so when we talk of international standards, on what level are we when it comes to our ID, its card, maybe the features and all those things? If I present it, maybe if I've gone to the US, can they be able to scan it and notify that this one is from this and this nation? Or because I understand for East Africa, I can present it anywhere, and they say, okay, for you can proceed. But how is it applying to the international standards, apart from the regional level?
Well, to answer your question, I think that we are in relentless pursuit of making our ID very secure in a manner that protects against the risks that you know very well, including fraud, that also makes them very secure. That's why you see more recently we are improving the features on the card. We are improving the features on the card by making it more improved and more secure in a manner by adding maybe a hologram to the pictures. We are also putting barcodes at the back of it therein, but also we are preparing ourselves for a digital age where the card people can also be able to enjoy digital identity. Of course, to go to America, you would need a travel document, but also in some instances, it's not new. I've had people where they provide a travel document, but in addition to that, they're asked to provide a national ID. And rightly so, when they've provided valid IDs of Uganda, they have been honored. So by those standards, I think that it depends. Different organizations will have a standard of what they want to honor and what they don't want to honor. In some places, they'll say a passport is sufficient. In some places, they'll say an ID is sufficient. But rest assured, in our region, the ID is recognized, and it's also a travel document, and which is why partly we are adding features, and which is why we are renewing, because we're trying to be in tandem with ICAO standards, which require that if your ID also serves in part as a travel document, then it must be a replica, a true reflection of your recent self, so that when we look at the ID, it is a true replica of who you are. So those are some of the reasons that embed why actually we renew the ID, because we want to be in tandem with those international standards, and also because our ID serves other purposes like being a travel document.
Okay.
Yes.
Wow, very interesting. When you talk of renewing, it is something that is ongoing currently. How
Yes.
far have we gone?
Yes, we had managed yesterday mentioned over 10.5 million renewals. The number must be 10 point something, but about 10.5 million renewals. And I did mention that it was stagnating thereabout. Of course, we understand of the 15 million who wanted to renew, some have since crossed over to eternal life, rightly so. But also, if you've not made the choice to renew, do not wait to be locked out of a service and then make the choice to come. I think it is in your own interest to apply and then hold government accountable on coming back to you with feedback. Because many times people will say, why must I do it now? No, yours as your civic duty is to present yourself and then apply, and then later on wait for the government, which will surely come through, to return to you with feedback with your renewed national identity card. Which is also the same thing, but I wanted to say, for people also who give birth and then don't want to apply for the birth certificate until when the school has asked, because they are taking their child to a kindergarten, and then the kindergarten will say, we need a birth certificate. Then they say, oh, I need to apply for it. Or the child is going to sit for PLE, and they say, oh, I need a birth certificate. So last minute is the reason that allows discretion, that also breeds corruption, because then in the evening times you are desperate, and so you will likely fall for all manner of pitfalls. But the best way to process a document is to do it yourself, not to delegate it to another person. Do it yourself. If you're the parent, do it for your child. If you're the guardian or grandmother, do it for the child who is in your care. Do not delegate the processing of your document to another person. Reach out yourself, apply for it. That protects you because it makes sure that your true information is given, but also it means that you don't expose your information to people that must not have it. It is your identity. It is your personal data, so you must not give it to another person whatsoever.
Okay.
Yes.
Maybe some people need to be reminded about the purpose of having a national ID, but also the challenges of not having one. Maybe being locked to certain services. If you can give us a highlight about that.
Rightly so. The reason why we come to work every day is I normally like to say, and I say that all the time, that our hearts are restless until every Ugandan has obtained a secure and unique identity by way of a national identification number for those below 16 and a national identification card for those who are 16 years of age. So when you have a national ID, I like to think about it as a gate pass that unlocks doors to opportunities. Okay? So the point is, when you have a national ID, it then makes it possible, because now this is the foundational register. The Registration of Persons Act has enlisted a number of services which you cannot access if you do not have a national ID. Key among them, we're in a very nice season, a political season. People are offering themselves for offices. People are going to get nominated. But it is not possible for you to present yourself and stand for office if you do not have a national ID. You must be identified. So look at yourself making people lose out on the leader you are, simply because you slept on the job and did not want to get a national ID. But then even when you're a voter, you want to second someone whom you think deserves to be in office. So then for you to also be able to second that person who is looking for signatures, you also need a national ID. So then, because we want to make sure that you're not giving us ghost voters, we want to be sure you're giving us actual people. And these people must have a unique identity that cannot be duplicated. So yes, for you to enjoy your political rights as a candidate, but also as a voter, but also as one who can second people in that process. But more pertinently, if you want to travel the world and give your children experience, you know that many times children engage in competitions. They're either playing soccer in academies or tournaments, and before you know it, they want to travel. And then as the event draws closer, it dawns on them that they don't actually have a birth certificate, or sometimes because they did not offer correct, accurate information, they are secluded. Maybe the person who registered them overstated their age. Maybe they understated their age. And so because the information is incorrect, it is jumbled, it becomes a problem. So I want the viewers of Family TV to know that as you come to enroll, there are two pertinent issues. It's not just enough to enroll. We want this process to be secure for you. That as you come, if you're a guardian, make sure you declare the capacity. Do not say, I am the auntie, then you purport to write yourself as mother. This is the same for birth certificate. Because you never gave birth to this child, there must be a certain level of truism that must underpin this process. That as you come, you speak the truth, you approach the service too. Do not use a middleman to access the service. I know there is information asymmetry, there is illiteracy, but go to people who you trust or people who you are rightly related to. These NERA offices at your parish, every time you accept a middleman, you open up yourself to so many risks, to so many challenges that you might not be able to deal with at a later time. Yeah, so there's travel, there is permits, people who want to drive vehicles, people who want to travel the nation, university. Do you know that quota system and accessing university, you can't do that without identifying? Even employment. How are you people going to apply for public service jobs without showing that you're Ugandan? Even private companies, they might be keen on hiring a Ugandan. How are you going to prove that you're a Ugandan if you do not have a national ID? So I think that more than everything else, you can procrastinate everything else, but you cannot procrastinate giving yourself a legal identity.
Wow. Very important indeed. Thank you so much. We are now going to take a very short break, and we shall return, of course, discussing much more about the purpose and, of course, why it is very important to have a national ID as we celebrate the International ID Day.
Thank you.
Issues at hand. This is Church of Uganda Family TV. Enriching lives. Regulated by the Uganda Communications Commission. This is Church of Uganda Family TV. Enriching lives. Regulated by the Uganda Communications Commission. Issues at hand.
Welcome back. I want to remind you, it is the International ID Day, and to, of course, try and celebrate this, we have to make ourselves aware of what importance an ID carries and how we should go about it. You understand we are in renewal, registration, mass registration, and all that. But you should also be able to know that even at the hospitals where you give birth from, there should be someone to at least help register. But unfortunately, some of you parents just ignore that stage at that moment, and then later on wait for a rush hour when a NIN is required or a birth certificate is required. So I hope you can also be part of this celebration by trying to be practical on the ground. Anyway, here with me is Claire Ollama, who is a registrar at NIRA, and she has been taking us through this discussion. So we did talk about registration and mass renewal and all those things. If we can go back a little bit when you are carrying out registration, what are some of the challenges you encounter as an entity while facing the citizens out there?
There are so many challenges that we could speak about. But for me, more pertinently, is I don't know whether to call it a laissez-faire attitude that people, or I don't care attitude. Sometimes people are so desperate to conclude the access of service than focus on how and what goes into that process. For example, if someone comes and brings a national ID of a seconder who should be a blood relative, with the view of tracing their lineage and proving that they are citizens by birth, so they will quickly tell you, this is my mother-in-law. And so when you tell them your mother-in-law cannot be is a recommender for you to obtain a national ID, because citizenship is by descent. By birth has a close linkage with the descent. So it could be your paternal side or your maternal side. Many times this person does not want to hear. For them it's about, I want my ID, my names are correct, my date of birth is correct. They don't understand the importance of giving accurate data. They do not understand it. And they obtain documents for convenience, not for what it is. For example, my uncle has a vehicle. It is a Fuso, and I have been helping him in the garage. I can drive. So I want a permit. You look at him, and he has put an age, and you look at him and say, but are you this age? He says, Madam Ntera wage, put for me that. I want to get a permit. If you put for me my correct age, I will not get the permit. Or sometimes because children are playing football and maybe they were stalled in school, they are very old, someone comes and registered with an age, and you look at him and they have no relationship. Then eventually, because they will sign a declaration and say this is true, when this comes back to bite them at a later date, it is more complex, because correction of information is one of the tallest orders you can meet in NIRA. Because then the question is, you submitted this information as a minor. There was a blood relative that escorted you and declared this information to be true to the best of their knowledge. How then are you coming back to say that this information is not true? The other thing is, one, we delegate a lot. Children. Many people have taken children to the villages to grandparents, and then the grandmother only knows that's a child of my granddaughter Claire. If you ask them about the paternity of the child, they'll say, I don't know, me, I'm looking after a child, I know nothing about the father of the child. So even people who don't know themselves, where do you hail from? I come from Gulu. Which part of Gulu? The person is unable to elucidate. And yet this is an identification process. So when you ask them to go back, they become very emotional, they are very unhappy, but yet this is a foundational register, honestly. There's a certain level of due diligence that must go in. And that's how you find that several applications are either queried, and because they are queried, it makes the turnaround time very long, and then you get frustrated and say the NIRA people are very frustrating. Rightly so, they are frustrating, but because also you did not help them by availing correct and consistent information. Okay, you are here, you're saying your mother is Chomjisha, your father is Okelo, and rightly so, that is okay. And here you are bringing for us a national ID of Drileba. But yet on your things that you're recording on your father's lineage and your father, you have nothing to do with those people. You're bringing us a Drileba. So that now when we ask you to try and give credence to this person and how they are your blood relative, you are unable to provide this information. That makes the decision harder to make. So your information will be deferred. or you'll be asked to come for an appointment to reconsider your issue further. So a process that would ideally be a one-off visit subsequently becomes a visit where you have to make several return visits to the nearer office with the view of providing clarity. So for the viewers, for me, that's what I want to say, is that let's give correct, accurate information. This process is continuous and it's ongoing. Before you approach a nearer office, take your time. We've told you time again. Speak to your mother and ask them. Speak to them and say, would you tell me my father's name and his village? It is okay that you're not together. It's okay the relationship didn't work, but you have a right to know who your parents are with the view of obtaining a legal identity, okay? But also, more importantly, Uganda is not patriotic anymore. We are saying one parent is enough to give a legal identity. If you don't know the other parent, it is okay to say unknown rather than forge. You get, rather than forge and say something that might mix up the whole application, you would rather say, I honestly don't know my father, I've grown up with my mother, and so I have no recap or knowledge whatsoever about who my father is. Okay. Yeah, so you be honest. Then the other issue that we also tend to meet is people who just give, I don't know how to say it, people who don't want to apply for services on their own accord. They always want someone to do it for them. They want someone to do it for them. In the process of delegating your power, you're exposing yourself to possible challenges, but also that person might feel for you information that you cannot completely recap or retrace. We have people who come and then probably when they go to passport, they'll tell them the details of parentage are wrong. Then they say, I don't know. It is so and so helped me fill my forms. The person I don't know. But you showed up as an adult of 20 years. And when we were registering, told you, is this your father? You even said yes. Is this your mother? You said yes. How then did you go to passport and forgot completely who your father and your mother is? How? It's because you delegated that power to someone. And I think for the viewers today, please, as you raise your children, there are basics of life you must tell them. They have a right to know who their father is, who their mother is. Please tell them their tribe, because that's a true definition of citizenship as we have it in Uganda. Okay, until the law changes, if it will ever change anyway. But for now, our definition of citizenship is by descent, or is by birth, is that it is descent-like. Indigenous community to which we are born to, except for a few people who probably were born and found lost in Uganda under 5, and those ones cannot have a tribe, or those who were in Uganda before 1926, who also were given citizenship by birth, but don't necessarily have a tribe. But as things stand now, please empower your children. Don't be shy to tell them you're a Lukbara, you're an Acholi, and I am your father, this is my name. If you are Mr. and Mrs. Vyamujisha, do not let the children call you Vyamushija Joy when you know you are still Akelo John. Because you have not adopted the name Byamujisha. You also tell your children, because the other problem we have is people apply for ID and they say my father is Byamujisha Paul, my mother is Byamujisha Jane. And yet this mother on her national ID has never adopted the name Byamujisha. So suddenly when they move ahead, we tell them you have a wrong mother. Rightly so. Why? You did not empower them to know what the true name of their mother is or their father. So they are registering with incorrect information. Yeah, so incorrect information, people delegating their information feeling to other people, and then issues of also middlemen. People don't want to be patient, so they end up paying in the process and they are cheated.
Well, very interesting. I liked it when you did mention earlier, before we went for a break, that we should play our part as citizens and then put the government at task, or we hold it accountable to make sure that they deliver to us our IDs. That is, of course, in renewal and registration.
Rightly so.
Yes. So I understand there's a number of citizens who are on complaints that there is too much delay here and there. What is your response to them in such a way?
Honestly, it's important to acknowledge that there are people who have applied and there have been delays on feedback here and there. But it is also true that we are working tirelessly and relentlessly to deliver on the production of the cards, as we rightly should. Otherwise, the people who have them wouldn't have them. I just want to reassure the public that this is our mandate. It's the reason we come to office every day. Because of a few realignments and, engagements, we are finding a systemic way. But more importantly for this project, I mentioned before that it was a mass enroll and mass renew. We've taken the choice to say, let us massively enroll so that we will now embark on the massively issue. It is a strategy. It is a strategy that we want to enroll massively so that when we get into the issuance, we will also have a unique strategy and we'll make a presser to that effect that speaks to how we are going to handle this particular segment of issuance. Because right now, because we are in mass of everything, the very kits that are used for registration are the very kits that are going to be used for issuance. So we are trying to strike a balance on how to be able to do the two. So I want to close in on this end quickly and then fast embark on this one and do that in a seamless manner.
Okay.
Yes.
Interesting. So what is the government's long-term goals when it comes to national ID and the system itself when we look ahead to meet the international
The future
standards?
is one, to lock in identity at birth. Our celebration this year of International ID Day is focusing around the celebration of events of birth by registering them, because the SDG speaks to a legal identity, but also it speaks to registration of all events of birth. We are looking to locking in the nuts at the point of birth, that when a child is born, the event of birth is registered, and will make it very easy for them to also register for NIN in infancy before they need it. Because look here, when you apply for a birth certificate before 6 months, it is 0 shillings. You don't pay. So I'm asking myself, why are people still giving birth and paying for birth certificate when they have the opportunity to get it for free? The reason we made it free was not because we wanted to make it free. We made it free because we wanted you to access the document in infancy, so that this back and forth movement will be a thing of the past.
Yeah.
You're born, we certify your birth, we give you your NIN at birth, and then when you grow later, you simply come to apply for your first identity card. So we are looking for a seamless process, and so the future is that government will not spend as much abnormal money on an outreach like this one, but it will be an issue of lock in, please proceed, enroll, register, obtain a NIN, and then we pick it from there.
Okay.
Yes. So that's the future. The future is bright. We are looking for these things of struggling being a thing of the past, because you will be born and you'll have an identity in your first year of birth, and that should be able to carry you for the rest of your life.
Oh, wow.
Yes.
So how can an ordinary Ugandan out there take advantage of such a day to maybe make themselves much aware about IDs and maybe registration and all that?
All right. So on our social media handle, we will be sharing a document. If you're following us right now on X, Nira_UG, we will share a Google Drive link that will take you into the details of ID Day, so you'll know what is ID Day, why is it important, what it does do. You can take a look therein. We will put that information there for you to read, but also later, shortly today, we will have also a detailed press briefer that speaks to this day. But more importantly for me, I think, as a viewer, your duty is on the action end. If you're viewing us this morning and you have a child in your house that has no birth certificate, please make the choice to apply for that today, but also make sure that you've enrolled your entire household for NIN. Let it not be you that continues to lock the door for opportunities for your children. Do what is in your part, and then let the world give them the wings that will allow them to fly. Secure their identity, register them, and then let life level out things for you at a later time. You don't want to be the reason that your child missed a tournament. You don't want to be the reason your child missed an opportunity, or they won't do their final exams, or they miss their quota scholarship because they have no ID or can't access it in time. Apply for documents before you need them. Register your birth today and be unique and be visible.
Very interesting. And maybe still to expound more about those people who are a little bit resting or sleeping on job when it comes to having national IDs. What message would you carry for them? Maybe even those who are still resting, waiting for the last moments to go on and renew their IDs, because there are quite a number of them.
One thing I know that is for sure is we generally have a laxity sometime attitude, and then rightly so. People say, I will do it, I will do it, okay, I will go tomorrow, I will do it another day. People keep procrastination, but procrastination is the thief of many nice and beautiful things. So for me, I want to encourage the viewers this morning, if you are viewing us today, I want to encourage you, please make this choice to apply today. Like, we have elucidated what is in it for you more than ever before. I keep saying the best time to access a document is now. Where I work sometimes in Kokonjero, there is a chairperson that I love. He likes to tell his people, Uganda ya lero enyumango inendaga muntu, because this is the foundational register. Along the way, you'll think you can avoid it, but you see, even spending your own hard-earned money can be complex if you don't have an ID. There are many people who have told us that their money is in the bank which they can't access because they did not have a national ID. There are also people who want to be investors, and they cannot become investors because they do not have a national ID. So for me, I think that more than ever before, please make the choice, renew, enroll. Your duty is to apply, and the duty to give you national IDs and NINs is a mandate of NIRA. If we cannot deliver on that mandate, in vain do we exist. So for me, my prayer is that you will apply, that you will enroll yourself, that you will renew that ID, that you register your child and unlock opportunities, and then we will work tirelessly to make sure that all of you get your national IDs, that all children registered are assigned NINs, but most importantly, that the events of birth are also registered. Of course, much later, once you have a NIN and a birth certificate, you know that there are other services that NIRA provides, including registration of marriage, including the issuance of death certificate, which then will work out very easily if you have this initial identity locked in very well.
Okay.
Yes.
Well, as we try and conclude, I understand there is registration going on out there, and we've seen on several occasions your teams going to different offices, but overall, for an ordinary citizen out there, what's that location they can go to? Do you have specific spots, or it is just mobile?
Well, we've been using a mobile approach that seeks to move from parish to parish. And so if you're watching us this morning and the NIRA team has not reached your parish, please do send us a direct message through the NIRA X handle. But also, I am happy to share the WhatsApp number of NIRA, where you can also send us feedback if the NIRA team has not reached your team, your parish, so that we can reach out. 0766 501 071 07. So if there is anybody and you think that NIRA has not come to your parish, we are glad to hear that feedback, so that we make sure that before the project closes, this service is extended to your parish. But also, it's a mobile approach. So the best person to ask would be your LC3 chairperson and your GISO, but every district as well has a NIRA office. You can also approach that office and obtain these registration services there. That district registrar should be able to guide you on the process in the different sub-counties. But as things stand now, we are in every sub-county, and all sub-county leaders have a defined schedule local to your area. Someone might ask, why don't we publicize them? There is a point of no one glove fits it all. They schedule an approach that works for Isinjiro, might not work for Gulu, might not work for Karamoja. So we are giving them a certain level of leverage, of power, to be able to determine what approach works for their locality, with a view of combing the whole country and reaching all the corners to extend the service of identification to everybody. And of course, before we go, our teams will be at regional referral hospitals and high volume facilities today, and we hope to extend their stay there until 16th October. So it is 16th September to 16th October as we commemorate and celebrate World ID Day. We are saying now you can go to the facility and access your birth notification record if the child was born in that health facility, and then also apply for NIN for them, because the kit will be there at that high volume facilities. In some, like health center tools, we may not be there. You'll have to continue to use the parish and the sub-counties, but this is the beginning of so many efforts we are doing to entrench the access to both this service together in tandem and in sync, that you apply for the registration of birth and you apply for a NIN seamlessly.
Okay.
Yes.
Well, thank you so much. If you can, in just a few seconds, give us your parting shots.
Yes, so as I close today, I want to thank everybody who has made the time to tune in. I want to encourage all people, please embrace legal identification. It opens and unlocks doors for opportunities for you. As you continue to access this service, we implore you to be safe. As you ask for this service, do not use a middleman. Every time you want to apply for a NIRA service, do not let someone do it for you or delegate it. Ensure that you personally walk to a NIRA office and access this service by yourself. And once you have been assigned a NIN or national ID, it becomes your personal data, your private data. Do not publicize it. Do not give it to anyone. Be secure, be woke, and be identified. Thank you.
Thank you so much. And I believe as a media outlet, we are also playing our part to
Yes.
make sure that we
And thank you.
inform
Thank you very
the
much.
masses.
Thank you. Thank
You're
you.
most welcome. Well, that marks the end of our discussion this morning. Thank you so much for joining us. I hope you picked something very, very important. And of course, you now know what the purpose of having a national ID is as we commemorate this International ID Day. I want to wish you a lovely day. Please stay on for more programs that are coming up, including Coffee Breakfast with Rita Nandera.
Issues at hand